Okay, today is 60-minute yoga for strength class. We are going to focus on legs today. If you have yoga blocks, grab yoga blocks. If you have something you can use in place of a yoga block, you want something fairly steady. So if you're thinking about using a stack of books, maybe not the right idea, but something fairly steady, because we're going to work on releasing the back of the leg. So we want to have something we can place a little weight on and have it fairly stable. So we're going to get started on our backs. Come on down to your back. Landing on your back, landing in the room. Bring your back onto the ground. Start to connect with all of the parts of your body that are touching the ground. Keep your blocks handy. So have them handy towards your hand while they're on the ground. Start to settle in. So bring your feet to the ground, knees up, and just let your knees soften in towards each other wherever your lower back is most relaxed. So allowing your lower back to relax into the ground. And take a check-in with the neck. Take a look at what you're doing with your neck. Sometimes when we lay in this position, we overly force the back of our neck to the ground. So try to allow that natural curve to return to your neck, maybe taking the chin a little more to the ceiling. Allow the shoulders to land on the ground. And then take a moment to just find your breath and land in the present moment. Notice what's going on. Start to do an inquiry. Sometimes when we go to a yoga class and we start a yoga class really slow, our brain can be firing and fighting us. When is she going to start moving? Oh my gosh, this breathing is so boring. But our grounding at the beginning and the end of class are some of the most important parts of the entire practice. Just checking in and seeing what the mind is doing. Rather than fighting with it, just acknowledging what it is doing, how it is right now, what's going on. And then acknowledge what's going on in your breath. Are you breathing rapidly or slowly? Are you starting to force your breath with your muscles because you're focusing on it? Is your mind pulling you into yesterday or tomorrow? Just gently remind your mind to come back to the present moment and just give yourself permission to be here for the next 60 minutes. And then bring your knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little hug. You can rock it, whatever feels good. And then take your feet up to the ceiling and just look at your feet. Start to spread the toes. And then take really slow ankle circles. Connecting with the muscles that make these circles. So not just throwing your feet around, but slow, controlled, trying to find the muscles of the feet. Notice what else is firing up. Notice your compensation patterns. So maybe there's some lower back stuff going on. Just try to push your hips a little bit down into the ground and notice chest, neck, soften. Take your ankle circles and then reverse the direction. Really spreading the toes, trying to find the muscles of the feet. And then point the toes and pull them back towards the shins. Point and pull back towards the shins. Nice and slow. So now start to feel the muscles in the lower legs. Connect with these muscles. Notice what fires up. to try and get the feet to move nice and slow. And then take your feet to the ceiling, bring the toes towards the shins, and then turn the toes inward, pigeon toe. So watch for your compensation patterns. Just make sure you're not pulling on the lower back. Maybe even bring your hands onto your hips. A little weight, a little guidance to tell your stomach to push your hips into the ground and let your lower back soften. And then turn the feet out and notice which muscles make this movement. Notice which muscles in your legs connect with the muscles in your legs. What can you feel? Which muscles can you feel firing up? Turn them back in. And then turn them out. And then let them go. Hold on to your thighs. And we're going to work the lower leg in nice slow circles. So you can point your toes, take your legs in low circles. Notice that the thighs want to do all of the work because they're a bigger muscle group. And try and focus the movement below the knee. And then reverse your circles. Again, watching for compensation patterns. Soften the neck and shoulders. Soften the face. Breathe. And then bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Reset. Breathe. And then place your left foot down on the ground, right knee still in towards the chest, and bring it right above the hip. Flex the foot and bind the muscles of the right leg. So really try to feel the right leg firing up. Push the hips down a little bit into the ground just to keep you stable in your base. We're going to pull this right knee towards the chest and then push it away. So nice and slow. Inhale as you pull the knee forward. Exhale as you push it away. So we're trying to locate muscles. Feel the muscles of the legs. Inhale, exhale. Imagine you have a giant weight on the foot and you're really pushing it hard away. It's hard to do. Find the muscles that you would use. Bring the right leg straight. Bring it to a hover just above the ground. Fire up the lower core so you're pushing your hips into the ground. And notice if your back is firing up. If your lower back is doing all the work here, lift your foot a little higher. Try to keep the shoulders, neck, and chest soft. And we're going to inhale, lift the leg, exhale, lower. Trying to find as many muscles as we can in the leg. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Notice if you're gripping with the left foot. Notice if you're gripping with the lower back. Try to use the muscles of the legs, but also try to have a little bit of firing up in the lower core here. Point the toes and continue. Change the foot. Change the shape of the leg. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Bring your foot about halfway between your up and down position, and then bring the foot out to the side. Hold and hover. Keep the toes pointed. Watch for that lower back. So don't bring it so far that the hip is lifting off the ground. Push the hips down. Watch for the lower back doing the work. You want to just use the leg here. Watch for your neck and shoulders. Breathe. Flex the foot and keep the hover. Notice a little bit of change in the muscle action. And then point and flex. Point and flex. Try not to lock and grip around the knee. If you have a tendency to do that, try bending the knee a little. You're finding muscles in your legs, activating muscles in your legs. Trying to have that mind-body connection. And then bring that knee back in and take some circles with the knee, nice and soft. Just moving through the hip, moving through the leg. Let the right leg come down and give it a shake. Reset it. And then right foot goes down onto the ground. Left knee up above the hip. Right foot even with the knee. Set up your base. Make sure nice and strong around the hips, soft around the shoulders and neck. And we're going to bring the knee in. Inhale in. Exhale, push the foot away. Finding the muscles of the leg. Inhale in. Exhale, push. Bring the left leg to a hover just above the ground. Nice and strong. Check in on your back. And then inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Notice how, pull the toes towards the shin. Notice the muscles that are firing up. Watch for gripping in the right leg. Watch for gripping in the back. Soften the face, soften the shoulders. Point the toes and continue. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Bring the leg about halfway and then slowly take it out to the left. Hold, pointing the toes. Find that point you can hold the leg really strong, but your leg and your lower core are doing the work, not your back. Not gripping with the right foot. Breathe. Flex the foot, continue the hover. And then bend the knee and take some circles with the left knee. And then bring both knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Reset, breathe, ground. Take some circles with the feet, wiggle the toes, whatever feels good. And then take both legs down. And twist it. Give yourself a little shake in the legs. Let the muscles go. So do that cellular reset, like really letting everything go. And then set up your base again. So find your hips on the ground and really start to activate your lower stomach, pushing your hips down into the ground, firing up this whole lower core. Push, push, push. Don't push the lower back to the ground. Push the hips. So the hips are grounded. The rib cage, start to ground the rib cage. Push the rib cage down. Nice and strong base. And then bring your knees above your hips. Feet even with your knees, active legs. So strong muscles, strong core. Bring your hands onto your thighs. And we're going to inhale as we lift and open. Push the left foot away, lift and open the left arm. Exhale, bring it back. In as we lift the right arm overhead, push the right leg away. Exhale, bring it back. So slow and control, firing up the core. Notice if your back is doing all the work. Really try to fire up the core more and make the movement smaller if the back is doing the work. So inhale, open, exhale, return. Inhale, open, exhale, return. Watch how low the foot comes towards the ground. That will help you keep it in the core rather than the back. And then bring the knees in and give yourself a little hug. Roll on over to a side and come on up to a seated position. Find a comfortable seat. And you get really long in the spine. And we'll start to move and breathe here through the arms and shoulders. So inhale, lift the arms up, zombie arms. And exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And you can start to take this a little bit more spinal, adding a little cat-cow movement, hollowing out the belly as you exhale. Inhale as you lift the chest. And then bring the arms down. Take some shoulder circles, one at a time, nice and slow. Bring the hands out, push the hands away from the shoulders. Activate the hands. So feel free to adjust your seat. Find a cushion, find something to make you more comfortable. We're going to be here for a little bit. So push the hands away as if you're pushing walls away from you, really strong. Pull the fingers back and then pull the fingers down, still active arms. Pull back, push down. Pull back and push down. Hold the walls away from you and then draw the shoulder blades together. So you're pushing the arms away and drawing the shoulder blades together. Experience the sensation of opposites. Push the arms, pull the shoulder blades together. Now push the shoulder blades apart, pull them back together. Push apart, pull them back together. Arms strong, keep your strong arms active. And then bring that down and shake the hands out, flick the hands out. And then make your way over to a tabletop position. Begin to move and breathe in your tabletop. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale towards a child's pose shape. Not worrying about the shapes, but getting into that mind-body meditative connection with your body and breath. Inhaling forward, exhaling backwards. And then come on up to a tabletop position. Take the right leg out, even with the hips. Lift the core towards the spine. Lift up out of the shoulders. Nice and strong. Hold and hover the leg. Find the muscles of the leg. Turn the toes in towards center and then turn the toes out. Turn the toes in towards center and turn the toes out. Watch for compensation patterns. So watch for bowing in the back. Watch for sinking into the shoulders. Pay attention to your muscles. Trying to find the muscles of the leg. And then lower the toes and press through the heel. Little pulses on and off. Lower the right knee and set up for the left side. So really lifting up out of your base, strengthening your chest, arms, and shoulders. Lifting your left leg even with the hip. Find the muscles of the left leg and hold and hover. Breathe. And then turn the toes all the way in and all the way out. Slow and controlled movement, trying to find the muscles in the leg. And then lower the toes and press through the heel. Lower the left knee and bring the hands a little bit further forward than you normally have them, maybe even a little bit wider. Just begin to take the weight left to right in the hands, feeling the shoulders, feeling some movement, feeling like the natural movement of your shoulders. How do they move? Just kind of moving around and feeling. And then we're going to come forward and take little tiny push-ups. So bending the elbows, little tiny push-up and back. Little, small, controlled movement. And then send the hips backwards for child's pose. Take a breath, reset, maybe flip the palms up. Let go. Make your way to down dog, warming up your down dog in whichever way you like, bending the knees, swaying the hips. And then find the stillness of down dog. Lift your hips up out of the ground. Lift your body weight out of the wrist. Use your stomach. Soften the neck. Connect with your head below your heart. Bend the knees, connect with your legs. So find the muscles in your legs and then slowly lift the right leg without opening the right hip. So if I lift my right hip and open, that's what it looks like. If I keep my hips where they are, lift the right leg. That's what it looks like. Bring the toes towards the shin. Find a strong, active leg. And then we're going to bring this leg over to the right and back. Strong movement. If this is too much, drop down to tabletop position and do that. Do the same thing from here. Over to the right and in towards center. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze back. Not throwing our limbs in space, connecting to the muscles that make the movement happen. And then bend the knee, bring the right foot behind the right hand. Set up for your low lunge. Find your blocks if you have them. And then inhale forward, exhale towards straight in the right leg. Finding movement, so exploring the muscles of the legs. Coming forward in all angles of the knee. Slow with control, connecting with the muscles that make the movement. Changing the weight on the foot, checking in for gripping with the toes. And then if you have the blocks, keep them handy, keep them right by your, if you have the blocks, keep them right by your right foot. We're going to bend the left knee deeply. So get set up in your base for your left knee. And then we're going to send the right leg towards straight. Not locking the knee, just finding the back of the leg. You can lift the toes here. Pull the toes towards the shin. See where you're at for your stretch. Sorry, I have a sore hand. And then when we are in the position, you're going to move your leg. So you're going to move your foot left and right, feeling the muscles in the back of the leg. Hold the leg still and then feel like you're pulling the right foot towards the left without letting it move. So fire up the muscles, engage the stomach, get long in the spine. Watch for compensation patterns in the neck or any gripping in the neck. And then come forward on the right leg. Frame out the right foot. Send the right foot back to meet the left. High plank. Set up in your high plank. Find your high plank nice and strong. You're going to lower the right knee behind the right wrist. And you're going to lift up to half baby moon. So watch, bring your left foot in line with the right. And then lift up out of the wrist, engaging the entire side body. Lift. Hold. Breathe. You can bring the left hand down onto the hip, engaging the leg very strongly on the left leg. Pull the toes towards the shin. Engage and think about only moving from the hip down. Bring the heel to the ground and then up. Nice and slow. Lift up out of the wrist. Watch for compensation patterns. Watch for buckling in the joints. Lower the left knee. Return to tabletop and then send the hips back for a child's pose. Reset. Find your breath. And then make your way back to down dog. Connect with down dog. Find your breath. Bend the knees. Set up your base. And without moving the hips open, take the left leg high. Nice and long. Strong leg. Flex the foot. So bring the toes towards the shin. And we're going to take the leg out to the left and then into center. Controlled, slow movement with the leg, finding the muscles of the leg. And bend the left knee, step through low lunge. Set up, find your blocks. Inhaling forward and exhaling back, moving around, experiencing the muscles in our legs. And then set up in your low lunge. Send the weight back into the right leg a little, bending the knee really deeply. And then find the back of the left leg. So find the lift of your toes or this position of your heel that you feel the back of the leg is fired up. And when we fire it up, we want it talking, not screaming. Go to that end zone. Just find where you can connect with the muscles and then move the toes in and out. Experiencing the movement, the muscles. Get really long in the spine, engaged in the stomach, and then feel like you're pulling the left heel towards you without letting it move. Lower the left foot down, frame out the foot, high plank. Lower the left knee behind the left wrist, and then find your way to half baby moon. So bringing the right foot in line with the knee and the wrist, pulling the stomach, lift the right leg. You're gonna turn around. Active, strong leg. Hold, stomach engaged. Watch for gripping in the neck. Lift up out of the shoulder and the wrist. And then lower the leg and lift. Nice and slow and with control. Soften the face. Return to the breath. And then bring it back down to tabletop. Send the hips back for child's and reset. Make your way back to a down dog. Bend the knees, look towards the hands, and either hop lightly or walk your feet up towards your hands. Feet land underneath hips. Bend into the knees. So bend into the knees deeply, maybe even allow your torso to hit your thighs. Just kind of feeling the legs. So then we're going to bend the knees deeply and then send the legs towards straight. Maybe lift the torso. Bend. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you bend. Start to feel like you're engaging the feet more, the legs more. So feel like you're ripping them out apart with your feet. Start to fire up the outsides of your legs. And then step your feet a little bit wider, maybe about mat width apart. And same thing, engage, find all the muscles in the legs, bend. Inhale as you lift, exhale as you bend. And then inhale deeply, bring the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring the prayer to heart center, step it into mountain pose. Find your mountain pose. So continuing to focus on the legs and to work through the ankles and feet. So bending the knees a little engagement in the lower core just to keep the back out of it. We're going to bring the right foot onto the ball of the foot nice and slow. And then lower and switch. So we're not just flipping through the feet, we're lowering slow, lifting slow, finding the muscles that make this movement happen. Strengthening the muscles in the feet. And then maybe being able to lift both at the same time and lower. And the lifting can be just a little tiny lift until you get used to the movement and stronger, and then you can start to lift a little higher. And then bring it down and turn the toes out. And turn the toes out a little. And the same thing, lift the right foot, lower, nice and slow, as controlled as you can. Lift and lower. And then maybe both at the same time. Nice and slow and controlled. Start with a teeny lift.
Feel the different angle of your legs. Feel the muscles. Think about all the times that we slip and fall. It's hardly ever when we're going straight ahead that we injure ourselves. It's all the other angles that our body moves in. So building strength in the other angles. If you want to work a little more on your balance, you can bring your arms out. You want to work on shoulder strength. And then step it back to a mountain pose, hands of prayer. Find your breath. We're going to grab our block, lace it in underneath the left foot. So ball of the left foot onto the block. Watch for locking of the right knee. So a little bend of the right knee just to keep your hips stable, your muscles fired up. We're going to bring the left foot to the ball of the foot and then lower slow and maybe even take some weight as we bring our right foot to the ball of the foot. Slow, slow and with control. And finding the back of your left leg. So don't force, don't rush. Find the muscles, connect with the muscles. Slow and with control. Step down and switch the block to the right foot. Place the ball of the right foot on the block and just start to connect with the right foot. So lower the heel and lift. Lower the heel and lift. And then maybe start to take some weight into it. So lower the heel, lift onto the ball of the left foot. Lower and lift. Little up and down, pedaling out. Watch your balance, watch your focus. Slow and with control. Using the muscles and watching the hips. So keeping that lower core active so the hips aren't rolling around. You know where you are in space. You're not just flopping through this movement. Keep your mind focused on the muscles that are doing the movement, the breath in the body, the present moment. And then step it down. Release your block. Tap out your feet. So really tap out your feet. Get some wiggles in the legs. Loosen and soften. Feel the ground beneath your feet. And then we're going to do a little opening front of the leg. So bringing your weight onto your right leg. Bend the knee of the left. Send the left hand back to catch the left foot. Once you catch it, push the foot into the hand. I can't do it with this leg because my hand hurts. Push the foot into the hand. And then see if you can find the front of the leg. You may need to pull the foot a little bit closer to the glutes. Maybe need to bend the right knee. Find the front of the thigh. Breathe. Option to take it a little further and head towards dancer pose. So bringing the right hand out to counterbalance, sending the left leg back, up, lengthen the torso. And then lower down nice and slow, tap the feet out. Set up with the weight on the left leg, send the right knee, send the right foot back. Grab the right foot with the right hand. So grab the right foot with the right hand in whichever way you can and it's comfortable for your arm and shoulder. So So everybody's a little bit different and there are a lot of different styles. So find the one that works for you. Once you have the foot, push the foot into the hand and the hand into the foot. So you have this active push-pull. Strong in the front of the leg. So if you push and pull, have a little strength here. You don't need to move the leg around much to find the muscles. You can fire them up. And then option to take it a little further, left hand down to counterbalance, really long in the torso first, and then send the right leg back and lengthen for dancer pose. Breathe and balance. Strong in the core. And then slowly release. Don't slingshot the foot, let it go slow. And then tap it out. Inhale up, exhale, swan dive it down, touch the ground with bent knees. Send the left foot back, place the top of the foot down. Pull the top foot towards the right foot. Fire it up, find the front of the foot. So you find the front of the foot, find the front of the left leg. You can use your blocks here. So we want to find the front. If you are strong, you can also lift the torso and find the front of the left hip also. Pull without letting the foot move. Nice and strong. Slowly bring the foot back, bring the knees even, and then cross left over right. Set up. Squeeze. So find the muscles of the leg, bending the right leg still. Set up and squeeze. Lower the hips a little and then maybe bring it to a balance. Lift the torso. Active legs. Slowly unravel. Place the left foot down and tap out. Inhale up. Exhale, swan dive it down. Touch the ground or touch your blocks. Send the right foot back. Plant the top of the right foot down. Pull the right foot towards the left. Activate the whole front of the right leg, maybe even lifting up so you can feel the front of the right hip and thigh. Breathe. Weight onto the left foot, bring the right knee even with the left and then cross it over. Strong in the legs, really firing up all of the legs. Maybe you can bring it to a balance and lift the torso. Breathe. Soften the face and shoulders. Squeeze the core for balance. And slowly unravel and tap it out. Take your hands left to right, swish and let go. Let your hands hit your hips. Finding your breath. Bring it back to mountain pose. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, proud heart. Inhale up. Exhale, proud heart. Bring it down to your heart and hold. Maybe even close your eyes for a moment and notice what it feels like to stand on your own 2 feet. And do a check-in. Look for gripping in the lower legs. Look for gripping across the hips. Look for gripping in the shoulders, the low back, the face. Soften. And then one last balance challenge. So if you have your eyes closed, bring them open. Bring your hands out ahead of the shoulders. So just keeping your hands out. Not too active. Arms are active, but not strong, strong, strong active. Bend the knees, lower the hips just a little, and then bring your feet onto the balls of the feet. Strong across the hips. Try not to let the hips move left and right, and try not to push the hips forward. So nice and strong. Now see if you can feel like you're pulling the feet apart so that the whole leg is fired up, not just the front of the legs, the whole leg, glutes, everything strong. Find all of the muscles. And then to challenge your balance, maybe try closing your eyes for a little bit. See if you can hold the challenge. And lower the heels. Inhale up, swan dive it down. Touch the ground. Step back, high plank. Lower all the way down to crocodile. Stomach down, one hand on top of the other, forehead down. Shimmy the hips to let go. We're going to do a little bit of moving and breathing here. Bring your hands just for balance, firing up the back line, the entire back line. So find the backs of the legs, the glutes, the low back, all of the back. Inhale, lift the shoulders, and exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Try to connect with all of the muscles of the back. Try not to overly tighten the low back or the neck. Find all of the muscles. And then bring it up to a hover. See if you can lift the toes. See if you can lift the hands. Hold and hover and watch for gripping. So hold at that point where you can lift, but you're not overly stressing the body. So lifting and holding active muscles. We're going to hold the hands, or you can keep the hands down. We're going to bring the hands up and think about the elbow moving towards the hip. So one elbow moves towards the hip, back through center, and the other elbow moves towards the hips. If your arms are down, still the same thing. One elbow moves towards the hip, and then back through center, other side. So now we're really working this mid-back area, as well as keeping everything else active and strong. And then bring it back to crocodile and really shimmy the hip. Let go. Roll on over to your back. Take a second to land. Take some wiggles. Find your hips on the ground, your feet on the ground, your knees up. Starting to soften. Bring your feet on the ground even with the hips. Take your right ankle and cross it just underneath your left knee. Lift the toes of the left foot so the left leg is fired up. Ground the hips, so pushing the hips into the ground so they're nice and strong and stable. Then push the right knee away from you. So using your muscles, pull the right knee away from you. And then pull the toes of the right foot towards the shin and then point. Pull and then point. Feel the muscles in the shin around the lower leg on the right leg. Slide the right knee over the left. Bring the knees in towards the chest and grab for the shins. Draw opposite feet to opposite shoulders. And breathe. Find the glute area on the right side underneath.
piriformis muscle. Breathe. Slowly unravel. Right foot stays on the ground. Pull the toes of the right leg up. Take the left ankle underneath the right knee. Set up hips strong and then draw the left knee away from you. And then point the toes on the left foot. Draw the toes back. Point and draw them back. Slide the left knee over the right. Draw the knees in towards the chest, feet to opposite shoulders. And breathe into the left glute area. Slowly unravel. Slide the left toe all the way out to the far left corner of your mat. Slide the right toe all the way out to the far right corner of the mat. And then shimmy the legs and hips. Let go. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, sigh it out of the mouth. And let go suddenly. Notice where your feet and legs land. Notice what's going on in your lower back. Notice if there's any gripping. So sometimes our low back is tight or our legs are tight, and this is not the most comfortable position. So maybe setting up with something in underneath your knees. You can place a bolster, a pillow, a blanket, something underneath your knees just to change so that your legs are not pulling on the low back, your glutes and your hamstrings, the backs of your legs are not tight. We're moving into our resting pose. So I often made this mistake when I was doing yoga. I was always pushing, and I wanted to find a stretch in my resting pose just to make the most, maximize my class. So I would find the position that my body was getting another stretch in and pretend to rest. This is not what the resting pose is for. The resting pose is the reset. It's like hitting a reset button in your body. So finding a pose for you right now and take choices. Be in charge of your own practice. Maybe you don't want to lie in full shavasana. Maybe you need props. Maybe today you want to lie on your stomach. Maybe you want to lie in child's pose. There are lots of options. A resting pose is a resting pose. Find where your body feels rested and comfortable. Take a moment to really get into that comfortable position. Lying down, releasing, letting go. So practicing letting go. Letting go of control of all of the muscles. Letting go of having to support the head or having to support the hips. Letting all of the muscles soften and release their gripping. Starting with the toes and working our way up, just softening, loosening, gripping, undoing the gripping. Almost as if you could tell each and every muscle one at a time that all the work is done and it's time to soften and release and let go. And then return to your breath. And see if you can loosen control of even your breath. Allowing it to begin to just flow in and flow out in whichever pattern, whichever way that your body feels most comfortable in, most at rest. And then take a moment to peek in at your mind. And rather than questioning why it is doing what it's doing, just observing, noticing. Maybe today it's quiet, maybe it's full of noise. Just notice. And rather than forcing all of the thoughts away, imagine that the thoughts are on the very outside of your brain, on the layer that's the outside layer of the brain, closest to the skull. And that you could slowly drop below the thoughts and land right in the center of the brain, a little bit underneath all that firing. Not that you're avoiding them, not that you're running away, not that you're forcing yourself to not think. And that you're just dropping below and allowing them to fire and do what they do. Becoming less and less affected and caught up in the constant runnings of our minds, the constant fluctuations, the constant movement of our mind. And then slowly becoming quieter and quieter within, maybe even going deeper and deeper within, looking for the sound of our own heartbeat. Whenever the mind comes in and fights us again, just gently letting go and starting the journey inward, patiently, kindly, quietly. And if you have the time to take a longer resting pose, please take the time that your body needs in this position. If you're finishing up on the 60-minute mark, we're coming up to that mark. So begin to bring gentle movements to the physical body and make your way to a fetal position. Curl up in a ball and connect with the fetal position, reminding us of a time in the womb when all of our needs were met, when we had not judged ourselves as negative or positive, or simply a spark of life. And come to this pose to connect with that spark of life that exists within us, unchanged by our experiences. Almost like this is our outlet and this is where we come to recharge. Plugging in, finding our bliss layer beneath all the thoughts, beneath the physical layer, beneath the mental fluctuations. Our internal bliss layer, our spark of life. And then complete your practice by coming to a seated position with hands of prayer at heart space. Connecting with this gesture of bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our hearts, as if accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. May we all know a little bliss. May we all know that we are all connected. And may we all know some love and understanding. Thank you for joining us.